This video has been created for commentary, educational, and analysis purposes. Hello fam! Today, we're going to talk about one of the biggest fantasy fights right now. And if you're confused about that, of course you're not. You already clicked the video. You saw the thumbnail. You already know the subject for today's discussion. The monster from Japan versus the tank from the West. These two fighters are some of the biggest names in the newest generation of boxing. They are huge names in the sport today. Naoya Inoue is part of the pound-for-pound list. He became undisputed in multiple divisions. His knockout power is honestly crazy. On the other side, Gervonta Davis also carries serious knockout power. Just like Inoue, he ends fights violently. Gervonta Davis is a very talented American fighter. In today's video, we're going to break down one simple question. If these two fought each other, who would win? Our analysis will be based on their styles. It will be based on their records. And it will be based on the quality of opponents they've faced over the past few years. There will be no bias here, so without further ado, let's start the video. Let's start with the background of both fighters. First, we begin with the monster from Japan, Naoya Inoue. As of 2026, Naoya Inoue has an astonishing professional record. He holds 32 victories with 27 knockouts, which is honestly crazy when you look at it. He is currently fighting in the super bantamweight division. His stance is orthodox, which is very common in boxing, but the way he uses it is far from ordinary. Naoya has been dominating multiple divisions. He became a two-division undisputed world champion. He is also part of the pound-for-pound list. Now, his exact position on that list depends on different organizations and rankings. But one thing is clear, Naoya Inoue belongs there. There is no doubt about that. Now, let's talk about Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis is known as a tank, and for a good reason. He is extremely dangerous inside the ring. As of the moment, his professional record stands at 30 victories, 28 knockouts, and 1 draw. He fights out of the southpaw stance, and he represents the United States. His last bout ended in a draw, but that does not take away from how dangerous he is. Gervonta is a proven knockout artist. When he lands clean, fights usually do not last long. The reason this fantasy fight keeps circulating in the boxing world is simple. Naoya Inoue is dominating his divisions right now, while Gervonta Davis remains one of the most dangerous fighters in his weight class. The challenge here is the weight difference. Naoya is fighting at super bantamweight, while Gervonta is competing at lightweight. That gap is not small. However, history has shown us that impossible things can happen in boxing. Still, for this video, we are focusing only on these two fighters. Both men have dangerous fists. Both can end a fight in a single moment. They are two of the most feared fighters in the current era. That said, when we look strictly at achievements, Naoya Inoue has a clear head start. He became undisputed. He defeated a Hall of Fame level opponent. Those accomplishments matter. This does not mean Gervonta Davis is not a great fighter. He absolutely is. But compared to Naoya's achievements, Inoue currently holds the advantage. One thing is certain, if these two ever fought each other, someone would end up on the canvas. Now let's talk about the clash of styles, because this is where things get really interesting. Naoya Inoue is all about speed and reaction. When you watch his fights, his speed feels unreal. His punches come in fast, sharp, and straight, almost like a bullet coming directly at your face or your body. That is usually his favorite target. What really stands out with Naoya is his reaction time. It feels like he already knows what to do before his opponent even finishes an action. If the opponent throws a punch, steps back, or tries to cover up, Naoya already has something prepared in his mind. That kind of readiness is scary. He is not known as a flashy footwork fighter, but one thing is clear. He can chase you around the ring. If you get hit and try to move away, or hide behind a guard, he follows you. His movement, his slipping, and the way he avoids punches are very clean and very sharp. His speed is his biggest weapon. Not many fighters can match that level of speed and reaction at the same time. Now, when we switch to Gervonta Davis, the picture changes. Gervonta does not rely on speed the same way Naoya does. If we are being honest, he is not faster than Naoya Inoue. But what Gervonta has is strength and power. Gervonta Davis can end a fight with one clean shot. His counterpunching is one of his biggest weapons. When he counters, the punch explodes. When his opponent receives it, it is immediately dangerous. His timing is very good. His reaction is also sharp, especially when opponents make mistakes. He waits, he reads, and then he fires back with full force. Another important point is durability. As of 2026, Gervonta Davis has never been knocked down in his professional career. Never. There were moments where he almost went down. Some opponents came close, but he always stayed on his feet. Gervonta also has experience fighting taller opponents. Throughout his career, he has faced fighters who were bigger and taller than him. One clear example is Ryan Garcia. Even with the height and speed advantage, Gervonta still managed to knock him out. Although we also know weight and dehydration played a role in that fight. Now, when we look at Naoya Inoue, he has been knocked down twice in his career. Once by Luis Neri in the first round, and once by Cardenas. However, it is important to understand the context. These were not weak opponents. They were top names in their division. In both cases, Naoya recovered and stopped them later in the fight. That shows his composure and mental strength. Still, when comparing both fighters, the difference is clear. Naoya has been tested and knocked down, but came back stronger. Gervonta has never been put on the canvas, even though he has been close. If Naoya moves up to lightweight, or if this happens at a catchweight, the risk increases. There is a real possibility that Naoya could get knocked down by Gervonta. Gervonta's power at that weight is very dangerous. At the same time, Naoya's speed, reaction time, and timing could also create serious problems for Gervonta. If Naoya can bring his speed and strength up with him, that becomes a real threat. This is why this matchup is so hard to predict. Both fighters have clear advantages. Both also carry serious risks for each other. And that is what makes this fantasy fight so interesting. Even though this fight is unpredictable, we need to understand why it even exists in the first place. If we look at boxing history, the last generation, especially Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, literally changed the way people viewed the sport. Their rivalry created a cultural impact, something like Asians versus Americans. And that kind of narrative set the stage for these fantasy fights. Now, with Naoya Inoue versus Gervonta Davis, we see the same idea. But let's be honest, Naoya is not going to move up to lightweight if there is nothing to gain from it. Yet why would he risk his legacy by moving from super bantamweight to lightweight if Gervonta is not a world champion? And he probably wouldn't even skip featherweight. Naoya is already in his 30s, so timing matters. If this fight happens and both are past their prime, it won't have the same hype as a prime versus prime matchup. The excitement would drop. Just like a 2015 style fight, where both fighters are veterans but not at their best. As of now, Naoya doesn't take fights that carry high risk without high reward. If Gervonta isn't a champion, he probably won't face him. On the other hand, Gervonta doesn't need much incentive. Even if Naoya is extremely strong, the chance to share the ring with one of the biggest names in boxing right now is enough for him. For the final verdict, I would favor Gervonta Davis at 65% and Naoya Inoue at 35%. Gervonta's achievement isn't as large as Naoya's, but his fights show he is incredibly dangerous. He has faced opponents with styles similar or even more threatening than Naoya's. If Naoya can carry his full speed, reaction time, and strength up to lightweight, he could dominate Gervonta. But realistically, moving up carries risks. And that's why the edge goes to Gervonta. So, my final call remains the same. 65% Gervonta, 35% Naoya.